It's so tough wanting everything to be perfect and at the same time having everything around you fall apart. Today I wanted to talk to everybody about what I've been experiencing for the past 10 years, and I see all this divisiveness in the world, and it makes me sad that most of these people won't know the true nature of life. Most of these people that are fighting about Republican or Democrat won't see the larger picture. They won't understand how humanity won't be around for much longer if we continue down this path. They don't understand the AI revolution because it's, technical, and most people aren't that smart. But some people are that smart, and many people are smart enough to understand. And so those are the people that I'm talking to today. I wanted to talk about what the future is going to look like and what my present looks like. As far as you're concerned, I'm living in the future. I've got a Neuralink in me. Neuralink is this company devised by Elon Musk, which allows an individual to interface with technology using only their thoughts. Basically, people can type on their phones, and people can turn on and off the TV, control electronics with their brain. And so I've got one of these in me, but I didn't consent to have it put in me. DARPA has been working on these brain chips for about 60 years, and the government deploys these brain chips into targets, people that they want to torture. It all started for me in 2011 when I took part in the Occupy Wall Street movement as an organizer. I wanted to have Woodstock in the park, and it sounded like a lot of fun as a teenager in New York City. But apparently the FBI didn't like that I was organizing something in Central Park, and my tweets got flagged and my account got banned. I believe I was put on the FBI watch list because of that. They were able to deploy these really, really covert weapons against me. Some things called neuroweapons. They're basically just neural links that they take and they put into a person to make them feel like they're in prison, to make them feel torture, to make them feel pain. It's very similar to the experiments that were run in the 1960s under the Project MK Ultra, Mind Control Ultra. And this is just MK Ultra on steroids. It might be called Project Soulcatcher, in where thousands and hundreds of thousands of people across the world are being abducted and have neural links put into their brain without their consent. These are violations of our human rights, violations of informed consent, and basically the same stuff that happened in Auschwitz by the hands of Dr. Mengele. These are illegal experiments which are happening in our country and in countries around the world. How it works is that the Departments of Defense contract out these services to subcontractors like universities and hospitals and private contractors. These private contractors collect our data, our brain data, and torture us for the government because they're given authority to or something. They're given these devices and access to the servers. And so what you have is 100,000 people around the world that are being tortured remotely by Neuralink. This amounts to torture, and it's happening, like I said, to 100,000 people around the world. In fact, in March of 2020, the UN Commission on Human Rights established that these crimes were happening and that these crimes constitute as torture. They called it a human rights abuse. Rights, by trying to speak out and utilize my freedom of speech, I was targeted. And the worst part is that I was set up. All of it was a setup by my uncle, Sandeep Ban. Sandeep manipulated my friends and my family in order to get me entrapped in this scheme. He made me a protester in the Occupy Wall Street movement. By manipulating my friends and my family, by getting me certain jobs, it's the same grooming techniques that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell used to get their victims. That's what was used against me. And so he did that in order to fill a contract for the government. He needed a target. And so he chose to target me, his nephew. And so what I've been experiencing for the past 8 years has been nothing less than torture. Some days I can't even speak. Some days I feel like I've fallen off of a cliff and I've broken every bone in my body and I can't even crawl. It's torture. And it's slavery. My uncle is making money based off my brain data. He's human trafficking me. He's harvesting my organs, my brain, and giving me brain damage in the process in order to make money. It's sick. And so these crimes must be investigated. Congress, there must be a congressional hearing on these crimes. There are experiments akin to those of Joseph Mengele occurring in our nation. And we're fighting about left or right, red or blue. What I'm talking about affects all of humanity. It affects our basic freedoms of thought. If you want to be free in the future, then you need to call your congressperson and you need to demand congressional hearings on Project Soulcatcher. Because the UN has recognized these crimes as occurring. And our government is lagging behind, and people like me are being tortured for doing nothing more than using our rights. And our humanity, our identity is being destroyed. I'm walking around here, I'm talking to you, and I look like I'm free, but in my mind I'm in a dungeon. And my uncle is hitting me with chains. Making this statement is perhaps the hardest thing I have to do, because I hate being a victim. I hate identifying as somebody who was victimized by my uncle. But he is my child predator. So Sundeep, the mask has been ripped off. Your cloak has been removed. You're not wearing any clothes. We know what you've done. We know how you've manipulated and tortured me. And here I am, trying to build a bigger bridge to a future where people are free, despite all of this. And if you support me and if you support my cause, then I'd like you to please call your congresspeople and tell them to investigate these crimes, because we need a congressional hearing on Project Soulcatcher. Thank you very much.